Hello, welcome to this session on distance learning student finance. My name is Dr. Charlotte Barrett. I'm the UK Student Recruitment Officer for postgraduate and mature students here at the University of Leicester. So today we're going to look at funding sources for distance learning students. This mostly applies to UK and EU students. I will be looking at Student Finance England's offering and how that works with distance learning, University of Leicester scholarships, and then I will cover sort of other areas where you might be able to get additional funding from external bodies or other sources. To start with Student Finance England, if you're looking at a distance learning postgraduate course, then most of our distance learning postgrad courses will be eligible for the master's loan. The key is that it needs to be your first full course at that level. So it can't be a top up. So if you're looking just to top up your master's degree and from say a postgraduate certificate to a full master's degree, I'm afraid you can't look at this loan. But if you already have a postgraduate certificate and you're looking to take a new master's degree, then it is something you can look at. Now, if you already have a PGCE or you're looking to do one later on, then you can still access finance for that. It is in addition to any postgraduate certificates of education that you might have or looking to get in the future. So don't panic if you're thinking of going into teaching afterwards, you can still do that and it won't cost you any more. So some of the key things on this, though, that if you do have other finance with the student loans company, you can't be behind on your loans. It's quite hard to be behind on your loans with student finance, but just in case you are, I'm afraid that you can't take out anything further. You do have to be under 60. I'll say the ideal age for taking out student finance is 59, because by the time you retire, it gets written off. You have the minimal amount of time to repay it, but you do have to be under 60 for postgraduate loans. Like I mentioned, it has to be that full course and not a top up. And here it can be full-time, part-time, or distance learning. So most distance learning courses are around 50% of the full-time course, and that fits perfectly with this postgraduate loan. Now, you do need to be a UK or EU resident and usually living in the UK at the same time. If you're in the armed forces, though, there is exceptions. So even if you're in an armed forces family, if you happen to not be in the UK at the time of taking it out, then don't worry, because actually they do make an exception, knowing that you may be serving elsewhere or supporting somebody who is serving elsewhere. So the master's loan side of it is a fixed total amount and you'll get £11,570 maximum. You can take out less, so if you don't need the full amount, then you don't have to take the full amount. It works out, they break it down into 3 instalments per year of your course. So you're for a 2-year course, so 24 months, it'll work out around £1,928 per instalment. It's slightly off that. I think it works out at 33%, 33%, 34% for each year. So it might be slightly different, but it gives you a rough idea about how much you will be getting. Now, it is a loan, so you do get charged interest on the amount you borrow from the day you take it out. But I'll explain about repayments a little later on, and you'll see how it doesn't affect your repayments. So don't worry too much about any interest on here. So like I said, it's a fixed total amount, and that might cover just your fees. It might be that that's enough to cover your fees and give you a little extra, which means that you can actually get books, a new laptop, for example, or put it towards any sort of field work you might be doing or summer schools and things like that. So it's entirely up to you what you do with this money for the master's loan. It comes to you into your bank account, and then you will have to obviously pay what you need to pay for out of that money. Now, we do have a couple of undergraduate distance learning courses, and looking into this, you can actually still get your tuition fees paid. So if your course has a course intensity of over 25%, and again, most of ours are around 50%, you'll be eligible for that student finance. Now, like I said, it is just a tuition fee loan, so this one would get paid directly to the university. It needs to be your first degree, so you haven't taken any student finance out for a sort of a bachelor's level degree before, but it could also be for a certificate of higher education or a diploma of higher education. So for example, we do have a few of those options on our courses, so you could still get your fees paid on this. Now, there is a little extra help in some cases as well. So if you are a disabled student, and that is long-term health conditions as well, so it could be mental health, learning difficulties such as dyslexia, dyspraxia, or it could be a physical disability where you do need extra support, then you could also qualify for the disabled students allowance. And this is for postgraduates and undergraduates as well. So it's means tested by need rather than by income. So depending on sort of how much support you need can depend on how much you get. The yearly allowance is a maximum of £25,000 per year. So if you do need, again, specialist equipment to help you out on a day-to-day basis, then this could really help with that. Now, just to let you know as well, if you are taking an undergraduate course and you qualify for disabled students allowance and your disability means that you couldn't come and study with us on campus, you may still also qualify for a maintenance loan. So when you have a look at this online, when you look at how student finance works, you might be able to tick some boxes and they'll be able to tell you if it's something you should qualify for. So just as an idea on repayments, now I did mention that there is interest on your loan. So unfortunately, the amount that you borrow will go up, but don't worry about the interest. And that's mainly because repayments only start when you earn over a certain amount. Now, while you're a student, so if you're registered with us, continuing your course, you're not going to be repaying back your loan at all. So it only kicks in after you've graduated. And even then, it kicks in the April after you've graduated. So if you graduate in, say, June, it's not going to they're not going to start looking at it until the April afterwards. Sometimes if you graduate in January, it could be quite a short time, but again, you might not need to worry about it too much. So I've got two amounts here on the salary side of things that are highlighted, and this is because you need to be earning over a certain threshold to be able to be eligible to repay back your loan. So for the postgraduate loan, you have to earn over £21,000 a year for that to kick in. So if you're earning £25,000 a year, if you see on the second line, you'll be paying back your postgraduate loan at around £20 a month. If you've already got an undergraduate loan, or if you're taking the undergraduate loan, then basically it comes in two pots. It doesn't stack up, I'm afraid. So you do have two different repayments. So if you've already got an undergraduate loan and you're looking at repaying that as well, the threshold is £27,295 at the moment. Sometimes these thresholds go up, so it is likely to change. So if it does change, they usually go up, so it shifts slightly in your benefit. So if you're earning over £27,295, you're going to start repaying your student loan, your undergraduate student loan. When you're earning over £30,000, just to give you an example, your undergraduate loan payment is going to be about £20. And if you have your postgraduate loan as well, that's £45. Because it adds up, it's going to be 65 altogether. Now this comes out at source. So when you're working on your wage slip, on your PAYE, you will see your tax, your national insurance, your pension, and your student loan. So it all comes out there. You don't really notice it go out, and you're only repaying it back when you can afford it. If you change jobs and your income goes down, it will go down. If you're on maternity leave, paternity leave, or off long-term sick, or only working part-time and not hitting the thresholds, it's going to go down or not be there at all. So I'd say don't panic about it. When it comes to things like mortgages, and if you're thinking I might like to get a mortgage in the future and I've got this loan outstanding, the banks are going to look at your loan repayments and not the amount you've got outstanding. So they're just going to look at affordability, basically. So don't panic too much about it, but just be aware that this is how it gets repaid. So to apply for the student finance online, I've put up the postgraduate link here because most of our courses are postgraduate courses, but it tends to open in the summer, ready for sort of September, October time, but you can apply later on depending on when your course starts. Because I know we do have course start dates sort of all the way through the year. So apply for your postgraduate loan or your undergraduate loan as soon as you apply for the course. You can always, if you defer it, or if you think, actually, I don't know, I don't want to start yet, you can always put that off later. But it can take a few weeks to process. And if it's going to take up to 4 weeks to process, you want to make sure that everything's in there in time. It is all online. And because both of these loans, as long as you're not getting a maintenance loan, both of these loans don't include any sort of means testing for the tuition fees or for the postgraduate loan, you don't need to worry too much. It's quite a quick process. student finance or just double check you're eligible, and then make sure that everything's in place for you. How it works as well is that when you start to register for your course, and if you've got confirmation that you're getting a postgraduate loan, then basically they will be able to sort of make everything work. And as soon as you register online with us, we contact student finance and they release the funds for your first payment. So other things that we can help out with in regards to your fees for your distance learning course is some discounts that we've got. So our scholarships are mainly discounts on your fees, leaving you a bit extra cash, or if you take the loan out, or just making it a little more affordable for you. So if you've already studied with us in the past and if you have a degree with us already, you'll get a 20% discount. We apply these, apply these automatically, so you don't need to prove it. We know that you've been with us. It'll say on your application form, and we'll be able to apply the discount when we send you through your confirmation letter. We also do a merit discount. The merit discount is 10%, and so if you have a first in an undergraduate degree, and that's whether you're an international student or a home student, we do look at equivalents across the world, so we'll apply a 10% discount as well to your fees. And then if you tell us that you're going to pay your fees in full, then we can apply another 5%. These are all stackable, so don't think, oh, I can only take one of them, I'll try and take the biggest one. You can add them up basically. And like I said, we'll put them on automatically so that you know exactly how much your fees are when your letter comes through. So funding from other sources, it might be that you're not eligible for a loan, or it might be that you choose not to take a loan because of, say, religious reasons. And so there's other places where you can look at funding, and money you don't have to pay back. So the Scholarship Hub has a huge range of scholarships on there, and they will be able to, you can go through and you can filter them, and you can find some of the weirdest and wackiest scholarships on there where people will give you money for being vegetarian, for example. But it can also be for people who sort of meet some certain criteria, and who may not be getting funding from elsewhere. So it is a really good place to have a look. And again, these all stack. So if you're happy to apply for as many scholarships as you can and qualify, once you get them, there's no reason why you can't have more than one. The Prospects website as well has a huge number of different opportunities on there, so you could have a look at that. And charities usually have small amounts of money to help students with extra equipment and things like that too. So you've got the Prospects website and Turn to Us. Now, another thing that I will mention is the National Zakat Foundation also have funding for Muslim students. So again, if you're unable to take the loan, it's a good place to have a look, because there's usually some funding on there too. Now, trade unions and professional bodies also have funding available, and it doesn't always have to be that you were the member of that trade union or professional body. So if you have a family member who's been involved in something like that, then basically they might be able to qualify you for extra help. And it could be that it's related to the course you're doing. So it's always worth having a look if it's something where you think, oh yes, there's a link between these two things. It might be as well that your employer will sponsor you. So some people might be looking at using their sort of distance learning degree to improve their career prospects. And it might be that your employer is happy to help fund that. And it could be that they pay for some of your fees. And they might even give you time off work to actually do your studying. But I will say with that, check the small print. So it could be that they will quite happily fund your postgraduate distance learning degree, but with the proviso that you work for them for another 2 years, for example. So do check that out, but do make sure that you're not getting tied into anything where you might have to pay them back. Banks and private loan providers also will have funds. There's graduate loans available, especially if you've been a student with a bank, then they might say yes, we can give you a graduate loan, but do be really careful with that kind of thing, because the repayments could start while you're actually studying, and you might think actually that's quite tricky. It might be that you're working full time and studying in the evenings, and actually that's fine. So again, private and commercial loans could be the same. They will have interest on them. Check how long it's going to take to repay. And I would say get independent financial advice, just to make sure that you're not getting tied into something that you don't want to get stuck with. Now you can spread the cost as well. If you are self-funding, so if you don't have a student finance loan, 50% of your fees are due at the beginning of your course. So the way it works is that when you register, we'll ask you for 50% of your fees or confirmation that you've got student finance or sponsorship. So if you're an international student and you're getting sponsorship from a government or a council, or your employer and who's agreed to pay a certain amount, it might be that you don't need to pay that 50% up front. We just need to see proof of how you're actually going to pay. Now, after that, there are flexible payment options. If you're getting student finance, these will fit in with when you're actually getting paid your student finance. Or it could be that if you are self-funding, that we can come up with an arrangement that will fit around how you want to pay. So don't feel like you're stuck and you've got to pay 50% up front and then 50% the year after. You can make sure that it fits in with however you're going to have those funds. So any arrangements for that can be made with fees and income at le.ac.uk. Now, say any questions, if you do want to get in touch with us, you can email me on cb297@le.ac.uk and let me know if there's anything else we can help you out with. Thank you very much.